So let's say that this is the top, just do it exactly, the top of the image, the sprite image. This is the bottom of the sprite image, and I can pretty much put these rules in the different parts of the sprite, and I can kind of test what would be the height of this image. And this image turned out to be, where's the info? Well, it's a little bit larger. I took a really minimalist approach to this. This says 34 points, but I made it just 29 pixels, which is this value right here that sets the height to be 29 pixels. The more interesting part to understand is this minus 129 pixels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by actually just showing you what it looks like without this. I'm just going to remove this, save. And now you see 5 stars. I'll put this back again, paste. And now we see just 1 star. So what happened here? Well, when we started it without anything that sets in the background position, it just started with 0, 0. And as far as the image is concerned, if this is the square that goes around it, this point up here is 0, 0. And that's why we saw the 5 stars. But you don't want to start with the 5 stars. You want to start with the 1 star because that is the first option we see in the selection input that we have. So we need to go to this point right here to start seeing just this block of image. And that point over there is, if you use, let's say, a box to measure it, this box is measuring 129 points. And we're going down, it's a little bit confusing. So we're going minus 129 pixels to see the first star. In a pretty much similar way, I'm going to calculate later the other star that I can do here. For example, the 2 stars are going to be minus 27. And the 3 stars are going to be minus 65, let's say. 4 stars is going to be minus 32. And it's a little bit tricky when you need to calculate it, but it's really kind of handy once you get the hang of it. So just want to show one thing with all these CSS, point CSS, point CSS. These can actually be used in one jQuery function. You can actually use this syntax that has one CSS call that does all of these attributes in one go. We just need to separate them with a comma between the attribute and the value, and then every pair is separated with a comma. So we have this going. This is our initialization. This is how we start. The form looks with just 1 star. It still doesn't do anything when we move above any of the other stars. So we need to add that part. And to do that, we actually need to start adding some event handlers. The first one that I'm going to use is mouse over event handlers. And I want to explain how I got to this event handler. Now, in the jQuery API website, you can actually see there's a lot of mouse events you can tap into and use. And there's, there's obviously click and double click and stuff like that. But there's also hover and mouse down and mouse enter and mouse leave and mouse move and mouse out and mouse over and mouse up. It's kind of sometimes it's hard to know exactly which one will be the best fit for your script. You don't always know exactly before you start actually coding. But you do need to be aware that some of these, for example, the hover, it's an event that's going to be sent continually while the mouse is over the same element. For example, while my mouse is over this word, the hover event is continually sent, while the mouse down effect, not the mouse down, let's say the mouse enter event is just going to be sent when I go over it, and that's that's the first and last time it's sent, and then the mouse out event is going to be sent when I leave it. So sometimes you have to kind of experiment and see which one exactly works best with your script. I decided to go with mouse move. That was the one that worked best for me because they're all on the same element. I couldn't really use the enter and out ones. So I chose mouse move. And in any case, whenever you use one of these event handlers, you usually want to start with, of course, you need to select the star rank with the hashtag, it's an ID, and go mouse move. And you need to define the callback function. And this time you need to get the E. The E parameter is actually the element, the object that holds the information about where the mouse is at the time when this event was called. So this is how I'm going to extract the location of X. Say var X equals E page X minus dollar this dot offset dot left. This is kind of complicated, but as always, I did some search before I found the exact perfect way to get this X value. And if you want, you can actually get your X displayed. I mean, if you're kind of playing with it and you want to see exactly what you're getting, you can add another ID here. So X equals. Sometimes it's easier if you kind of export things on your page while you're trying to program it. Let's say change the HTML to equal X. And let's try this out. And we can see the values here of where the mouse was moving over this div here. Should be. In any case, this is very helpful, and with this knowledge of the location of the mouse, I can now use the sprite image in this way. Now, this is a paste that I'm doing inside the mouse move function. And what I do here is I measure the location, the X that I'm getting. And if it's in a certain range, let's say between 0 and 30, I say, okay, this is 1 star. So I'm going to set the background position to be 0 and minus 129. And if it's, say, between 30 and 60, I say, okay, this is the location that the second star should be. And I set the background position to be minus 27. And so on and so forth. And I'm just going to save it and check. And you can see that it is actually moving with my mouse. It's moving to 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, etc. So that's terrific. But there is one last thing that we actually need to do, and that is after we select the number of stars, we need to actually translate it back into some kind of something that the form can understand when it uses the post method. It needs to kind of select one of these options. So to do that, we're going to use another event handler for clicking. That makes sense, right? So I'm going to put it right under the last one. This is an event handler over the div star rank, captures click events, gets E, but really doesn't need E at this point. You can omit it. It's not going to do anything. And now I'm going to kind of assume that I have the star rank from this hover action. You remember that if I'm here, that means that I assigned star to be 4. And if I'm here, that means that I assigned star to be 1. That's why I do that at the same time I set the background position. So I'm going to go with these star 1, star 2. So I'm just checking if it equals any one of them. And when I find the one that it equals, I set the option with value equals 2, for example. I set its attribute to be selected. And that's pretty much it. That's how it translates back into the form. And when you click on the submit button, it goes with the post.